Hello and welcome to Nana's Crafty Home. My name is Tanya. Today's tutorial is going to show you how to work a crochet lace join between two squares. Now you don't have to use squares, you can use triangles, other motifs. Really, I'm just using this as a guide, but it can be used for granny stitch squares, any kind of squares that you have. You're going to want to use this if you're wanting a lacy, more open join between your squares. This is going to give your project more drape, and this is also a great way to join your squares without sewing. If you prefer to use crochet, this is a great option as well. So I'm going to be focusing on the double crochet lace mesh join that you can see here. But I'm also going to be showing you how to work the same technique in both single and half double crochet stitches. So it doesn't have to be these longer double crochets. The longer your stitch, the more drape, the more open your stitches are going to look, but each stitch is going to have its benefits and it's going to look completely different. For today's tutorial, I am using Paintbox Cotton Aran yarn in two different colors. The pink is a blush pink, and this darker pink is lipstick pink, I believe. I'm also using a size H crochet hook or a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. Let's go ahead and get started. So I have both of my squares. I'm going to go ahead and get my yarn on my hook here. And you're going to want the right sides of your squares or motifs facing out, the wrong sides together when you're working this technique. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my yarn in the very corner of my front square. So if this were a granny stitch square, traditional granny stitch square, I would be inserting my hook into the chain space and working from there. In this situation, I have a square that I've worked a row of single crochets around that outside edge, and so I'm going to be working in the very middle stitch of that front square. So I've worked 3 single crochets in that chain space, so I'm going to be working in that middle single crochet as my first stitch. And I'm going to go ahead and attach with a slip stitch, and I'm going to chain 2. Now I'm going to be working back and forth between these two squares. So I'm going to now be inserting my hook into the corner space or the corner stitch of the back square, and I'm going to work a double crochet into that corner space or stitch. So again, I'm going to be working in the very corner, and I'm going to work a double crochet. Now this is a freestanding double crochet, so it's going to feel, if you've never done a freestanding double crochet, it may feel a little awkward at first, but what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over your hook just like you normally would for any double crochet, and hold that loop onto my hook, and now I'm going to insert my hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And I've worked that freestanding double crochet in that back square. So I've worked that first double crochet. I'm going to now chain 1, and I'm going to come up to my front square, skip the next stitch, and work a double crochet in the next stitch. So again, you want to hold on to that loop and work a double crochet. I'm not going to chain 1 after that double crochet. I'm going to go back to the back square, skip the next stitch on that square. So here's my first double crochet, skip that next stitch, double crochet in the next. And then chain 1, back to the front square, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next. And you're just going to continue repeating those steps throughout that whole edge. You're not going to chain 1, come back to the back square, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next. So you're only chaining one. So here I will chain one. You're only going to chain one after your double crochet in that back square. You're not going to chain one when you're working a double crochet in the front square. So skip the next stitch in the front, double crochet in the next stitch. And let's take a look. So this is nice and open, very lacy mesh. That chain one that I'm working between the stitches is allowing me to skip that one stitch on both sides of my squares. And now you will just continue throughout that row. So you can see that I've worked that all the way down that edge, and I've completed into that corner. So if I were completing in a granny stitch square in a space, I would have completed in the spaces rather than those corner stitches. So you're going to want to go from edge, from corner to corner on your squares. And once you've completed that, you would just fasten off. Go ahead and repeat those same steps for all of your other squares as well. Now I'm going to show you how to work this in the single crochet method. So for the single crochet method, I went ahead and slip stitched and attached my yarn to that corner space or stitch in this case, and I'm going to chain one. Now for this one, I'm going to go ahead and single crochet in that same stitch. And now I'm going to pick up my back square. And again, it's exactly the same. The wrong sides are together, right sides are out. And I'm going to now single crochet in that center stitch. Space if you were working in a different kind of square. Single crochet and then chain one. Come back to the front square, skip the next stitch, single crochet in that next stitch. Go back to the back square, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next, chain one. You can see I'm using exactly the same method, skipping a stitch in the front square, single crochet in the next, back square, skip the next stitch, single crochet, chain one in the next, front square, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next. So that same exact technique, and the only change I'm making is single crochet rather than the double crochet. And you'll just continue that on down. Chain one, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next, and I'll show you what it looks like here in just a minute. So you can see using that single crochet join rather than the double crochet, it's a lot less open. There's going to be less drape, and you have a completely different and unique appearance. Really lovely. And you could certainly do something different if you would rather. I'm using a contrasting color from the square that I'm working in, but you could work this in the same color as the outside edge of your square, which would make it disappear a little bit more than what I have here. This obviously pops a little bit more because I am using that contrasting color. And what's great about this is you have a completely different look, and I didn't have to sew these squares together. So I'm going to move on now and show you the same thing in the half double. So I've attached my yarn into that corner. I'm going to chain two, just as I do for the double crochet method. Back square, I'm going to half double crochet into that corner stitch or space. So rather than the double crochet, I'm going to yarn over and pull through all three loops, chain one, front square, skip the next stitch, half double in the next, back square, skip the next stitch, half double in the next, chain one, skip the next stitch in the front square, half double in the next. And it's exactly the same thing, You're just changing up the stitch that you're using. And I will show you what that looks like here in a minute. So here's it finished in half double crochet, and you can see it's a little more open than my single, but not nearly as leggy as my double crochet join. It's a nice compromise. You get a little bit of extra drape, a little bit more openness. So there you have it, double crochet, single crochet, half double crochet, lace mesh join. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial today. Thanks so much for being with me. As always, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you never miss a new video. Thanks again. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.